So Halloween is sadly over and November is upon us. The weather is getting colder, Mariah Carey is defrosted. Time to talk about ghosts and horror anime. It's called being fashionably late. Look it up. Mieruko-Chan is a manga that I have been so in love with since the very first chapter I read, and very, very nervous about since the anime announcement. Spooky series can be extremely hit or miss, and more often than not, they're just kinda underwhelming. So when I saw the teaser for Mieruko, I was sweating very, very nervously thinking about the potential mess that I might have to sit here and defend. The manga is absolutely amazing, and it's something that I've been recommending for a while over on my Twitter. I'm not huge on horror of any kind, so it's a genre I usually tend to skip, but when I was browsing Bookwalker recently for something new to read, on a whim I decided to just kinda give Mieruko a shot, and it changed my life forever. Okay, maybe that's a little dramatic, but it was really, really good. Let me lay out the plot for you a little bit, and this will be totally spoiler-free. Miko is a quiet high school girl with very nice thighs who can see all kinds of spooky things around her. And her best friend Hana has a really nice honkers and can't see spooky things. The two of them, later three, end up in all kinds of situations involving Miko constantly being pushed to her spook limits. It's a really digestible balance of horror, comedy, and ecchi, and it gets surprisingly really, really emotional. The monsters that Miko can see, though, I could spend literally all day just staring at them in detail. They are incredible. The creator clearly has a very deep love for all things creepy, and one of the things that made me really fall in love with Mieruko as a series is the fact that every single monster tells a story when you stop and stare at them. There's the one monster literally wrapped around the pole, covered in glass and oozing, just begging for help, who's clearly a victim of a car crash. There's the group of men of various ages all groaning about love and loneliness and let's go together, implying that that very cute, sweet girl has been responsible for a lot of suicides over the years. And of course, the coochie-faced overprotective girlfriend. Actually, I do want to touch on our coochie-faced friend briefly, because she's a great example of why I prefer the manga over the anime, all things considered. Like Titty Eyes in the episode prior, Coochie Face isn't exactly subtle with what she's implying. Your first reaction is probably not going to be to feel fear, but to laugh a bit. And with the anime, you giggle a little, and then the scene is over, that's it. In the manga, you get all of the time in the world to stop and just take it all in. You get to move past that natural reaction of uncomfortable laughter and just sit there being uncomfortable for as long as you want. Like every other monster in the story, Coochie Face has this detailed, unsettling story to tell, and you can't fully appreciate that with the anime pulling you along at the set speed they want, with all of those little jagged lines. I don't know, it doesn't look terrible, but it's the same problem that the Junji Ito anime had. There's just not enough time or budget to really get the atmosphere down every single time. I will say though, when they do get the atmosphere down, it is great, incredible even. The text message scene, for example, was really, really well executed. I was spooked. I was tense. I knew it was coming, and I was spooked. Overall, the manga and the anime feel like different sides of the same coin. It's obvious what the studio is focused on, and unfortunately, from the discussions I've seen online, some of the people who are only watching the anime are starting to get set in the idea that it's just a story about lewd jokes and ass shots with some like tense monsters in between. I've seen a kind of depressing amount of people say that the gimmick of the pseudo jump scare is getting old, which is such a bummer because at this point for me in the manga, I was only breathing every like 2 chapters, maybe. I guess I was like only breathing for the lewds actually. I was just like, oh, that's some titties. Oh, her thighs. Did she just piss herself? I was personally really let down by that alleyway scene in episode 2. Here's the anime and the manga monster side by side. Well, there's nothing wrong with the anime one. It just doesn't hit the same. I don't know, it's just not as spooky. And regarding the good food that I am absolutely going to exploit for thumbnail clicks, by now I hope you guys understand my view on ecchi and hentai and overly lewd stuff. I love it. It is an integral part of my life and my job, in fact. LOL. I can appreciate a delicious shot of some PJs just like vacuum sealed, or that absolute gift that was the bath scene, but it really does kind of feel like they're only going that route because they can't visually make it as spooky as it should be. I don't know, all I'm trying to say is I love this to an insane degree, and I also love this, but I wish we had just a little more focus on this. I don't know, it's just kind of a shame because there's a really interesting and mysterious plot behind it all, and the shifted focus of the anime is really turning some people off from giving it a chance to actually progress that far. If this video is your first introduction to Mieruko, I'd say consider the manga if you're in it for like a girl group dynamic and monsters with a side of ecchi, and go for the anime if you're in it for an ecchi with a side of tension and monsters. Does that make sense? Either way, both the anime and the manga are filled with laughs and heavy emotion and fun personality-filled characters, and I cannot recommend it enough. And if you watched a few episodes of the anime and you dropped it because it wasn't quite hitting the spot, please give the manga a chance. I was right with Nagatoro, right? Assuming you're one of the people who dropped Nagatoro and then saw my video and then watched it and was like, oh, Yazzie was right. I was right about Nagatoro, right? I wouldn't lie to you. I'm gonna cover the screen with some of my favorite non-spoiler visuals to convince you. Look at this. Look at it, look at the front and back cover, it's amazing! And oh my gosh, how convenient today's sponsor, Bookwalker, has all of the currently published volumes available to you. You can head over and enjoy Miko's size and stare at Coochie Monster in glorious, clean, high quality, the way it should be. New users can use my code YAZZY, that's Y-A-Z-Y or Y-A-Z-Y, depending which country you're from, to get 600 yen off of their purchase. That's not limited to Mieruko, in fact, they have quite the large selection of spooky horror manga to fill that gap between now and Christmas that you can check out using the link in the description below. Sorry if it sounded like I was running out of air. There's someone at the door and I'm scared. If you have any spooky series you'd like to suggest, please let me know down in the comments below, especially if it's an anime. It's really rare that they get that vibe right, so I would love to hear any suggestions that you have. As always, I'm Yazzie, professional best girl, and thanks for hanging out with me today. Also, the anime OP is really fucking good, but I fear the copyright monster punishments, so I don't know. And also, maybe it's just the paint splashes, but it gives me major flashbacks to the Maria Holic opening. It's probably just the visuals, but I just think of paint splashes. Bye for real! Goodbye. I have no cat clip this time! I have no cat clip to give, I'm sorry!